appreciate all the students who have joined us today. So, this is the second International Conference on Critical Peace Studies. We had the first one exactly 2 years ago in August of 2023. When we gathered here 2 years ago, we were discussing problems of peace that belong to a different era. The second international conference is happening in radically different times. Sadly, in 2025, we live in a world that is far more volatile, violent, and unjust than before. In the past 2 years, we have witnessed atrocities in Gaza that we could not picture as a possibility earlier. We have seen crimes against humanity that we could not imagine in 2023. As I speak these words, right now, 2 million people in Gaza are being forcefully starved to death, forcefully and systematically. And it is right now 2 million people who are seriously starving. They are not given access to food through an illegal and immoral siege that no state, barring few, is willing to end by force or effective collective action. This is not a situation that we could foresee in 2023. Allowing this mass starvation and genocide to continue uninterrupted is one of the greatest legal and moral failures of our times. We are facing a situation similar to the Holocaust of 1930s, yet we refuse to see it or acknowledge it or take a decisive collective action. Our job as peace and international relations scholars is to sense the current moment and make sense of the state's behavior in these times. The current moment is what we call a paradigm-shifting moment in history. It is when we confront big questions and we have no clear answers in the existing paradigms. However, the problems in such times is that despite obvious disruptions, which all of us can see, most people, including academics and researchers, most institutions, including the states, continue to think and work within the existing old paradigms that no longer make sense. We gather here today to confront these big questions of our times and build peace and IR discourses that are in touch with current realities. For example, as IR scholars, we ask, and these are the bold questions we want to ask in the conference today. They will be at the forefront of our discussion later today. What explains most states' unwillingness to stop the unceasing massacre of children in Gaza for the past 2 years? What explains the state's behavior? One explanation is that most states continue to think and work in the old frameworks of the 20th century. Most thinking is done within the old binary framework of IR, which is realism or liberalism. Realism or some shape of it remains the dominant paradigm till date. In any given situation, the first response of any government is based on the idea of self-interest and self-preservation. But the realist idea of self-interest is based on the denial of some fundamental realities. We call it realism, but it denies some fundamental realities. It is based on the denial of our connectivity with each other and the denial of our inseparability. Living within the ecosystem of this planet, we remain inseparable from each other, and we are deeply connected to each other, and we remain inseparable from the land. This is a reality. Any negation of this connection is a delusion. So realism's idea of isolated self-interest is a delusion. The idea that it is possible to survive on this planet through power maximization is a dangerous fallacy. No human entity, no matter how powerful, can survive in isolation. We find ideas based on our deep-rooted connections in the indigenous cultures and also indigenous philosophies that have been erased by colonial systems. We don't teach these philosophies in our universities. We continue to import and promote the Western theories. Today, we are going to question this very costly erasure in our knowledge system, because when we erase our indigenous knowledge from our education system, we should realize that this is really causing a lot of harm to us and also to the planet. So the other old framework that dominates IR thinking is liberalism. The problem with liberalism is that when it talks about human rights or freedoms or dignity, it has always talked about some humans and not all of them. Historically, only some are acknowledged as fully human, while others remain less deserving of human rights and dignity. This discrimination is so normalized that we do not begin to question why only 5 states enjoy the rights to veto at UN when the Charter says that all states are equal. So we don't even question this obvious contradiction that we see. So today we gather to problematize the dominant frameworks of IR and peace studies in which we continue to think. And we want to create new possibilities, new frameworks of IR and peace studies that make better sense in current times and in the future. We open today's discussion with the words of a fellow scholar, Sabrina Meher-Ali, that the role of the researcher is not just to produce information. The role of the researcher is not just to produce information, it is to resist erasure. And that is our purpose today. I look forward to an engaging discussion. Thank you so much.